they know to be true and have specific personal memories of has apparently changed in the world around them.
Yeah, and this is the whole claim of this is proof that we're living in our own alternate universe or something.
Or that the proof that there are alternate universes that exist.
And we're living in it because
we're living in our universe,
misremember.
but there are other universes that maybe collide with us, or they break off here and there, and there's little tiny differences like the one that you brought up a second ago. We'll go into further detail on that one. Just a letter difference, but. The Mandela effect is where you realize that something you knew to be a general fact of the world and it no longer seems to be true, and it's named after Mandela,
Nelson Mandela,
who was in prison for a big portion of his
27
life.
years.
There was a lady, I don't have her name right here, who was under the impression someone told her that he died in 2013, and he's like, no, he didn't. He died in 1980. I remember watching it on the news.
Right.
And so she thought it was just her. By the way, if it's just you that has a misconception, it's called confabulation. And I actually have a really neat story that we have time one day to talk about that. My own personal misconception that I created a false memory. I think.
Yeah.
But the Mandela effect is a false memory that is held by many people. And so she thought it was her own misconception. She vocalized it, and more people came out and says, yeah, I thought he was dead too. So it's usually just a letter difference or a date difference, but sometimes it's big, like someone died and they saw it on the news, or maybe even there's a continent that's not where it is, or some people who think that there are 52 states. And we know that
there are also people that think that there's 57. There's people that are just idiots.
Well, no, they're counting the territories. If you don't count the territories, you don't count D.C. I went to school and I learned that there were 50 states.
Yes,
and then D.C. is 51.
Right,
and no one counts Puerto Rico. But if you ask people around the globe, they all think it's 51 or 52.
Didn't Obama visit all 52 states?
No. So the statement that he said was, I've been to, I think, 57 states with one left to go, plus Alaska and Hawaii that my staff won't let me visit. So he was off by 10, which makes a little bit more sense than being off by 7.
That's true.
But the funny thing is, the Republicans that were trying to make fun of him didn't even listen to the whole thing. They could have made fun of him and said he thought there were 60.
So now, Daryl, you brought up one of the more popular examples. There is a children's book that we both grew up with, and I think you probably grew up with it as well. It's a family of bears. I've always said that it's what they based The Simpsons off of. Do you know the name of the bear family offhand?
The Bernstein Bears.
What do you think,
Is it
Daryl?
Berenstein?
I always thought it was the Bernstein Bears.
The Berenstein or Berenstein?
Berenstein.
I always thought it was Berenstein. I truly did. And it turns out there is no E-I-N. It's not Stein. It's Stain. S-T-A-I-N. Berenstain.
Wow.
And I saw this. I actually had a stack of these books a month ago. I'm like, bull crap. It's not Berenstain. It's never. I went and grabbed them. They were all published in 82 and 83, and they were all Berenstain.
You are pronouncing it so weird.
Berenstein.
Right, but that's not Baron. It's Bernstein.
It's not Burn. It's Burn.
It sounds like there's 3 syllables there.
Well,
the way he pronounces it, but not the way normal humans pronounce it.
The big difference is Stein, and a lot of people remember seeing Stein, and that's what I remember growing up with. And so, but it's not. There are no examples.
Okay, so we just pronounced it weird because we were 5.
Or there were actual Stein books out there, and something changed. Something happened. A blip in the matrix.
Or
all right, here's another
you're
one.
Just looking for conspiracy theories where there is none. Go next example.
I do like a good conspiracy.
Next example.
I won't deny it, Daryl.
Next example.
Don't you? All right, here's another one.
All right, hold on.
Okay, here's iconic. Empire Strikes Back. Luke just got his hand cut off. What does his father say to him? Daryl?
I have no clue. I
got nothing.
I was forced to watch the movie when I was like 5. And
it's iconic. You don't even have to watch the movies to know this one.
Is this where he says, I'm your father? Luke, I'm your father? Or
what did he say?
I think it was something like, Luke, I'm your father.
Daryl?
I know what the actual quote is. I didn't know when it happened before or after a hand
it's just
off
it's
thing.
the quote. I'm looking for the
but
quote.
The quote is, "No, Luke, I am your father."
You're correct, Chris. It's not Luke. It was never Luke, I am your father. It was always, no, I am your father. But you just saw it recently, right?
No.
A couple of months ago, you watched the redigitalized one.
No, I didn't.
Daryl just never forgets anything. Okay, so is the point that I remember what is the most popular term, the most popular phrase that gets tossed out there?
Somehow, somewhere along the line.
It's the whole thing of, like, what's the song where everybody thought that they said there's a bathroom on the right, but it's there's a bad moon on the rise.
Oh,
People
no,
just mishear things. They misremember things.
I have never. Yeah.
People
This is true.
Stupid.
This is
Conan.
true. This is true.
People are stupid.
Where do they
Except
add
our listeners?
Along the line? Someone added Luke, I'm your father into the equation. When did that get added? And I understand it could have been a fan. It could have been like a book that was written after the
My
movies.
guess is it was just people misquoting it, and everybody thought that the misquote was the right thing.
That's a pretty big misquote in a very popular movie that people watch.
And I've heard other popular movies where people misquote the stuff all the time too.
But the point is how do millions of people all come up with the same misquote?
Because they hear it from somebody. The same way they hear there's a bathroom on the right.
You've got the movie. You've got the movie to compare it to, and everyone's seen it except you.
Turtles. There's the church hymn where people think it says Kinky Turtles, but it's King Eternal.
Hey, you know what? I've got more examples for you, Mr. Yeller Man.
Excuse me while I kiss this guy and give you the phone number where you can call in and
That's
yell
how
at Conan.
you remember it.
855-450-FREE. Call in, yell at Conan. He deserves to have somebody yell at him other than just me. 855-450-FREE or Skype, LRN.FM.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
Right. I did. We get 30 days free.
Really?
Packages starting from only $7.95. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com. Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's the toll-free call-in line. Your calls welcome. Did you misremember things? Well, did you? Did you misremember? Do you feel lucky?
Do you feel lucky, punk?
And I'll actually tell you that that's a misremembery there, Conan.
I know that one. It's not on my list, though. It's on your list.
But just because you misremembered doesn't mean that the government misremembers. That is, if they get a hold of the stuff that you do online. But, well, they don't have to get a hold of the stuff you do online because the internet was meant to be used anonymously if you want it to and without oversight. But many governments and companies are thriving off the lack of privacy that you have on the internet. ProXPN can give you that privacy back. ProXPN is a virtual private network that encrypts your data right from your computer or mobile device, and ProXPN offers OpenVPN, the gold standard of network encryption, with apps for Windows, Mac, iOS, Android, and they have Linux support as well. And unlike other VPNs, ProXPN keeps no logs of your activities whatsoever. With more servers being added all the time, ProXPN works hard to give you greater speed and security compared to other VPNs. If you're a Windows user, ask ProXPN about changing your DNS settings for even greater anonymity. They accept credit cards and even Bitcoin. And if you use the code FTL50, you can get 50% off the regular monthly price of the lifetime of an annual account. And it can end up being cheaper per month than a good cup of coffee if you drink coffee. If not, it's cheaper than, say, a Happy Meal with a large fry at Big Mac or at McDonald's. Use the internet the way it was meant to be. Go to proxpn.com right now. Use code FTL50 and take back the privacy that is your right.
You know, one neat thing I've found running ProXPN is while watching Netflix, you can change your region.
Right.
And you can open up Netflix titles that are unavailable to you in the States.
A whole new world.
You better believe it. Yeah, a lot of if you want to watch some British comedies, go log under London, UK, and you have a whole access to nothing that's available to you here in the States.
Speaking of British comedies, I saw that Are You Being Served is going to be remade.
Oh, really?
Yes.
How do you feel? I wish they would remake Red Dwarf or Black Adder before they do Are You Being Served. I was never a fan.
I always thought that Are You Being Served was funny. I have no clue what Red Dwarf Adder
Much better.
is.
Much better.
Any idea what the Red Dwarf Adder is?
No, I'm kind of a Misfits
Sounds like a
fan.
snake of some kind that if it bites you, you are going to wind up going into shock.
A
very
snake
quickly.
played by Rowan Atkinson, who is Mr. Bean. And other titles. Let's go to the phones.
To the phones. We have Jerry calling in, listening to KZNU. Jerry, you're on Free Talk Live with Daryl, Chris, and Conan.
Daryl, Chris, Conan, how you doing?
Good.
We're doing well. We're doing a radio show. What's on your mind?
Hey, So, quick question. I don't understand why Apple doesn't simply do to the government what they do to us. Just say, okay, we'll do that. We'll create this program. We'll figure it out. Then they can create a bunch of paperwork, create a bunch of new jobs, create a bunch of red tape, then go back to the government and say, well, it's taking longer than we thought. And then go back a little later and say, well, we're just having problems. And then go back a little later and say, we can't figure it out.
And we need more funding.
Yeah. We need more funding. Sure. Of course, that cuts in our tax dollars. So I don't want Apple to do that.
But they send those response.
The point is why don't they just say okay and then not do it? I don't get it.
Because that would get them in even more trouble than if they just say, we're not going to do it. Because if they start trying and then they say, oh, well, we can't, then the feds will come at Apple with all kinds of obstruction charges that they're probably going to wind up seeing anyway.
Maybe they should just say, we understand what you're asking. And we'll work on it. And then why don't they go and hire a government employee to work on it? Then they'll really be working on it, but they'll never get it done.
I like where you're going with that one. I personally like the fact that they're just saying no. I like when the government gets the answer.
I do like the fact they're saying no.
I know.
I guess I'm just saying, these guys, it's kind of a joke. The government wants these guys to go do something that I don't understand how they can instruct a private company to do something that they haven't. I mean, if they already had the program existed and Apple was able to use it, which maybe they do, but if they were able to, then it's a different story. But to tell them to go create a program and go get your thinking hat on and go get your workers to go figure this out for us. Well, forget you. You go figure it out.
I think you need to refer to the Constitution under Article 1. Hold on for a second. Oh, yeah. There's nothing in the Constitution that really allows the government to go compel corporations to help spy on their citizens
But there's terrorists involved, Chris.
I'm sorry.
There's terrorists and the greater government good. We have a compelling interest, so therefore we can force you to do anything.
Because general welfare.
Jerry, thank you for the call. And somehow interstate commerce will fit into this.
Absolutely.
As
and
well.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the phones. And we have James calling from New Hampshire, listening on the TuneIn app. James, you're on Free Talk Live. Hello, James in New Hampshire.
Throwing his phone around. I can hear that.
James in New Hampshire. Let's put James back on hold. Maybe he will turn off the TuneIn app and start listening to the phone. We'll go back to him momentarily. But we were talking about this thing called the Mandela effect, where apparently people widespread have, misrememberies, if you will. And so I did a thing. I was talking in the last segment about
songs.
Well,
but that's a little bit different because
specifically movie quotes.
Movie quotes is a good one because everyone has seen them, and they remember and you can't mix it up with like a melody, a music melody, or drum beat, or because that's how those things get muddled.
So there's a famous line, or what people think is a famous line from the 1971 classic Dirty Harry, where everybody thinks, or the vast majority of people think, that he said, "Do you feel lucky, punk?" What he actually said was, I know what you're thinking, punk. You're thinking, did he fire 6 shots or only 5? Well, I tell you the truth, I've forgotten myself in all this excitement. But being as this is a .44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world, and would blow your head clean off, you've got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do ya, punk?
Okay, that's what I remember, actually.
And riveting, Daryl. Riveting.
Why we had a break already? What happened?
Yeah, come on, man. I want
telephone calls.
Oh, yeah.
We had the telephone calls about the iPhones. We'll get back to talking about the Mandela effect. And James, try calling back, and hopefully you don't throw your phone across the thing or in the toilet or whatever happened. 855-450-FREE.
Removing bad taste and odor from your drinking water is easy. Removing the bad stuff you don't taste is what ProPure does best. Water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure countertop, inline gravity, and household water filtration products. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com. Or call 800-544-3533.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. That's what the readers of freedomsphoenix.com get every day. freedomsphoenix.com, constantly providing the information, the real news about government policies, and the real relationship we all have with the coercive government. The real condition of the economy, innovations in technology, breakthroughs in energy, health, and computer science. Learn the truth well before it's admitted to in the lamestream media. The corporate media, nothing more than distributors of government propaganda, but now there's an alternative. freedomsphoenix.com. Constant news updates on the issues that affect your life in the most important ways. With liberty and property under constant attack, freedomsphoenix.com provides the understanding behind the propaganda, and it encourages the participation of its readers. Go to freedomsphoenix.com. That's freedoms with an S, phoenix.com. freedomsphoenix.com. The revolution between the ears has already happened.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at SurvivorMax.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Did you misremember everything about life ever?
Life, the universe, and everything?
Did ya?
Did ya, punk?
Did you feel lucky about life, the universe, and everything? 42 and all the other weird stuff that people think they know. Well, that's what we're talking about. Apparently, it's called the Mandela effect when you misremember things, and a bunch of other people have the same misremembery. You can call in about that unless you misremember the telephone number, which is 855-450-FREE, Or we also have Skype. Username is LRN.FM. So going off on sort of a side tangent here about some of the most misquoted movie lines. Greed is good is what people think is said in the movie Wall Street from 1987. The actual quote is, the point is, ladies and gentlemen, that greed, for lack of a better word, is good. Greed is right. Greed works. And then he goes on to say a bunch of other stuff.
So people remembered a shortened version of that.
Yes.
And that makes sense. It comes off the tongue a lot easier. It's something you can just say in passing. You're not going to go through all that and explain the entire dialogue. You're going to say, you're passing your buddy at work. You say, hey, Chris.
Right, but another
Greed is
option.
good.
So let's take the example of Dirty Harry that you brought up before. So I remember in what was the Jim Carrey movie where he took care of animals, he helped find them.
Yeah. So he has a Shatner voice. He also has his Dirty Harry voice. Yeah.
Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Exactly. So it would be interesting to go back to Ace Ventura and see if he misquoted it. And maybe that's where a lot of people are remembering that line from another movie where they misquoted.
But was he ad-libbing, or was he actually reading right off the script? And maybe it wasn't him that misquoted. It was actually the script writer who fed him the script.
He probably ad-libbed a lot. I know that in the movie Aladdin, they let Robin Williams ad-lib all of his lines. He ad-libbed,
but that's what he does.
He ad-libbed so much that the movie could not be put up for best screenplay because too much of the movie was ad-libbed.
And what, like, he owned like the script? Like the script was his because he read a certain amount of it was his own
No, he didn't own the script.
IP.
Did he get screenwriter cred?
No, because he didn't write his lines. He ad-libbed.
I get it.
Thus, not screenwritten.
Maybe they need to create a new bullet for movies where actors are super ad-libbers, and he gets screenplay credit.
So another movie line that is often misquoted: "I love the smell of napalm in the morning. It smells like victory." And the actor did say both of those things.
Mm-hmm. Apocalypse Now.
But not back to back. So he says, "You smell that? Do you smell that? Napalm, son. Nothing else in the world smells like it. I love the smell of napalm in the morning." And then he says a bunch of other stuff, and then he says, "Smells like victory."
Yeah.
So again,
what we remember is
a shortened version.
All right. Are there any examples that are pretty short, but it's just things are like flipped backwards?
The Graduate. You know the line. You know the line, Chris.
I do?
Yes.
Something about Miss Robinson.
Mrs. Robinson. Are you trying to seduce me?
I've actually never seen the movie. I know I'm familiar with it.
I never have either.
I'm familiar with it, but I don't know the movie.
The actual line is, "Mrs. Robinson, you're trying to seduce me, aren't you?" So it's a very short line.
Right.
They're just flipping the sentence structure a little bit.
Okay, here I have some shorter ones, and I'll ask you how you remember them. Okay, what's the famous line when Captain Kirk wants to go back up on the ship? What does he say?
"Beam me up, Scotty."
Beam me up. He never says Scotty.
Yeah, he's never said "beam me up, Scotty."
Not once.
Not once.
He's never ever said Scotty.
The closest is Scotty, beam us aboard.
Okay.
And Robin never said "Holy Toledo Batman."
Here's another one for you. Okay, Snow White. This is old. This is what is her famous line when she's talking to the mirror?
I never watched
Chris
Snow
will probably
White.
get the misremembery.
Daryl, do you remember? Is this on your list, by the way?
It's on the list, but I actually remember
Mirror
it.
on the Wall. Who's the fairest of them all?
Okay, yeah, that's how
what the witch said.
That's how the Grimm brothers wrote it.
Okay,
Brothers Grimm, long time ago. But in the actual Snow White Disney
magic mirror
on the wall. Who's the fairest of the wall? And it's like, where did that happen?
Well, I never saw the movie
because it still flows off the tongue nice and neat. But maybe Mirror Mirror sounds better. Maybe someone. I mean, when did it get messed up?
Right, and in my case, I never saw the movie. The only thing I have to go by is what I've heard, anecdotally or through media or through the Mandela effect.
And of course, and I'm only bringing up really these are big that everyone, these are misconceptions that everyone has access to.
Right.
I think these things are happening all the time. These little misconceptions are being generated, but they're just not. I don't have a video. I don't have a record of it, so I can't go back and check.
Okay, so what are some of the others other than movie quotes? You said something about mislocation of entire continents.
Okay,
like South America is actually north of.
Let's work with smaller continents. Here's an example. Where is New Zealand in relation to Australia?
Neither one of those are actually continents. They're both islands.
Okay, one's a continent, and New Zealand is an island. Australia is a continent, right?
No.
It's just a big old continent island?
It's a large island that is part of Oceania. Oceania is the name of the continent of island nations in the South Pacific.
Where is New Zealand in relation to the island of Australia?
Somewhere to the east and north.
I'm going to go with southeast.
All right. Chris, you are correct. It is to the southeast. Now, we have a New Zealand friend, and of course, every time someone mentions some movie that's being filmed there, like The Hobbits or Xena
Hobbits.
and all,
Xena. I had such a huge crush on both Xena and Gabrielle.
The blondie one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I can remember meeting this New Zealander and kind of doing a little snapshot. He says he's from New Zealand. All right, snapshot, where's New Zealand? And I placed it to the west of Australia. And this is from a snapshot. I made a connection with a snapshot of a map that I saw in social studies, 3rd, 4th grade, something like that. And so I saw this on one of these lists. I'm like, no way. Who is getting the location of New Zealand wrong? And so I looked it up on a map, and I wasn't even close. I'm on the wrong side of the dam, and you're saying it's not a continent; it's just a big old island.
It's just a big old island.
There is a whole lot of debate
that one wrong
on that.
too.
Yeah, and it's just a little to the east of Tasmania.
I would say it's kind of southeast, correct?
Somewhat
I'm sorry.
south.
I'm sorry. The continent of the continent. Here I go again.
New Zealand is to the east of Tasmania, and like if you're in Sydney and you go east, you'll hit New Zealand.
Yeah, that's a whopper right there. Most of them have to do with like some guy is dead, but he's really alive, some comedian or some actor or something, or dates are messed up, or wording is wrong. Like, for example, Febreze. How do you spell Febreze?
F-E-B-R-E-E-Z-E?
Nope, one E.
I knew that one.
Or Chick-fil-A.
F-E-B-R-Z?
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A
B-R-E-Z-E.
is G-A-Y.
Well, how do you spell the chick part?
C-H-I-C.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. And some people misconstrue it as chick, C-H-I-C-K.
Right.
But I mean,
that's like, Tinder and Uber and all these other weird apps where, like they leave off letters, and Fiverr, they put in an extra R.
Yep.
Right.
Or one person just spells it wrong, and then it just goes from there. It's I'm not getting on the old parallel universe thing. I just think this is interesting that this is coming up, and now we have a record keeper. We have the internet. We have the YouTubes that we can go back and we'd actually check this kind of thing, and I think it's really neat.
And we actually have a linguistics major on Skype with us that we will bring in on the final segment to talk about misremembering words and why Conan might be absolutely out of his ever-loving mind, and possibly you and your thoughts. 855-450-FREE. This is Free Talk Live.
As a pioneer of the e-commerce movement, Overstock.com is proud to be the first major retailer to accept Bitcoin. Overstock was the first because Patrick Byrne, Overstock's CEO and founder, firmly believes in personal freedom and cryptocurrency. Over the past 16 years, Overstock has furnished over 18 million homes with a diverse line of products to suit everyone's unique styles and preferences. Support Overstock and freedom of choice while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more.
Are you searching for your soulmate? Someone you can trust, who will never betray you or cooperate with the NSA? Stop searching. With EasyDNS, you found a keeper. EasyDNS does it all. Domain names, web hosting, and managed WordPress hosting. EasyDNS stands up for your internet freedom, and with servers in Canada, they do not cooperate with the NSA. Go to EasyDNS.com. You'll love their services or get a full refund. They guarantee it. And they accept Bitcoin. That's EasyDNS.com.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
Right. I did. We get 30 days free.
Really?
Packages starting from only $7.95. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees, ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Possibly time for you and your thoughts if you call in right now at this exact moment. 855-450-FREE. That's the toll-free call-in line. In studio tonight is Daryl,
Chris,
and Conan. And guess what, Daryl? 7 continents, and Australia is one of them.
I say that Australia is a subcontinent of Oceania, and that there are, in fact, only really 5, but that's because I count differently. I consider Europe and Asia to be one giant continent of Eurasia, which is not a completely uncommon or unaccepted view. And North and South America in the Spanish-speaking world is referred to solely as the Americas.
You just like the sound of your voice.
You do. I'm just saying there's one continent, and it's painted red, white, and blue, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, America.
Get her done.
There's one continent, and that continent is Pangea. It is just now in 5 different portions.
Broke up like a cookie.
Let's go to Dean calling in from Canada, the Great White North. Dean, you're on Free Talk Live with Daryl, Chris, and Conan, and apparently Dean is a linguistics major.
What we needed.
Dean, tell us about misremembering words and facts and locations.
Yeah, I thought I could offer a little insight into this topic. The human mind should not ever be relied upon to remember exact strings of words. It's not the way the human mind works. We do not think in language. We think in abstract symbols. If you break it down to the way we actually
Are you saying that I think in hieroglyphics?
No, more of an abstract.
Do I think in
mental
emojis?
representation. Absolutely not.
But Daryl might. I mean,
So
we're not
people-
talking about people in general. We're talking about Daryl now.
Well, Daryl's a special case.
there
I think
we
we
go.
all know that. So if you sat someone down, they've done several studies in psychology in a lab and read them a short story, asked them 10, 20 minutes later, half an hour, a few hours later, they could tell you without a problem what the gist of that story is. But to tell you the exact syntax that you used, it almost never happens. There are occasions when we do remember things, strings of words more easily, things like song lyrics, poems, things with specific rhythm. So that, I think, probably explains why people change quotes when they're remembering them and repeating them back, and why those get propagated throughout society is because we tend to be able to remember things that have a nice rhythm or a nice rhyme better than the way that
A,
people
B, C,
actually
D, E,
speak.
F, G.
Right, and
Exactly.
historically, that's how history was passed down. It was through song and through
Right,
poems and
because-
things like that.
Because it's unusual. It's not the way we speak. We don't speak rhythmically or in rhymes. So,
well, maybe you don't.
but no
Yeah.
one does in their everyday life, right? In their actual everyday speech.
Captain Kirk does.
Yeah, and that's a screen written lines, right? So we remember things that stick out to us. So if someone says something really out of the ordinary or something that catches us off guard, we're much more likely to remember the exact syntax of that than we would just everyday speech. Because when we're taking an everyday speech, we're converting it into meaning, because that's what spoken language is for. It's for communicating meaning. But actually, we think in a abstract mental representations. It's what the psychologist Steven Pinker calls mentalese, or the language of thought.
So this is interesting. It kind of jives a lot with. Have you ever read a book called Moonwalking with Einstein? I'm looking at both of these guys.
I've never heard of the book Moonwalking with Einstein.
Well, it's kind of fascinating because the book is about it was written by a science writer who went to the American Memory Championships, and he talked to these people and said, "This is amazing. You know, you can take 6 decks of cards, shuffle them. You guys can look at them for 50 seconds, put them down, and then put them back in order, or they can memorize a 2,000-word poem." That makes no sense. It's all just gibberish and it's all just random.
And are these guys able to have an actual conversation with you? Or not completely Rain Man counting matchsticks? Or
Well, this is the interesting thing. So he's like, this is amazing. You guys must all be geniuses. And how can you possibly do these amazing feats with your mind? And he's like, well, number one, none of us are extraordinarily intelligent. Number two, we still forget our car keys and we do all these things. But he said what it is over the years and over the centuries, there is this method of training the mind to remember things in specific orders,
right,
and to be able to do these things. And what they do is they take things, processes that were used 1,000 years ago in Greece in how to remember long lists of things and things like that, and they exercise those portions of the brain, which I thought was really interesting.
And that is pretty common with people with severe autism, to be able to remember specific things. Same with people with severe autism, often can learn to read at a very young age. The thing with people who have fantastic memory like that, or who are able to sight read at such a young age, the thing is they don't take in the meaning, because those are two separate areas of the brain. Actually converting meaning and storing the concepts of what is being said or what you're reading is completely different from remembering by rote singular objects.
And what was interesting about this was, one of the many things I found interesting was, again, you have this writer who's talking to these people that are memory champions, global champions. How do you do it? And finally, one guy looked at the writer and he said, it's really hard for me to describe. Just how about over the next year you practice for 3 hours a week, and then you win next year's memory challenge. You win the United States memory competition.
Trophy. I want a trophy, Chris.
And that's what he did. He learned these techniques from these guys. They're just tricks. And he applied them, and he did, practice a couple hours a week and things like that. And the next year he won the Nationals. It's an amazing thing. And it's amazing how much power there is in our mind that we don't tap. We don't exercise our brains this way.
Right, but here's a question. How long can they retain that knowledge? Can they only retain it for, that couple of hours?
No.
Could you then ask them 3 years later, put these cards back in order of how they were on May 2nd, 1972?
They will always fade. Our memories do fade because that's how the mind works. It doesn't have infinite retention, but my girlfriend and I frequently use one of these techniques when we go grocery shopping. So if we go grocery shopping, we can, if we decide we want to, usually we just write down a list, but sometimes it's fun to go through an exercise and have 30 items we want to buy at the grocery store, and we'll be able to go through the grocery store and not miss a single item.
I'm not a list person, but
yeah,
I just have to go through every aisle.
I do that too.
And just look at everything. But that's the only way to find the specials. If you skip aisles, you're going to miss things.
Maybe one of these weeks we'll talk about this particular trick.
Mr. Linguist. Well, as far as
his name is Dean.
Dean, as far as iconic quotes like the Empire Strikes Back, Luke, I am your father, getting mixed up, no, I'm your father. How do you explain that?
How people would misquote that?
Yeah. I mean, that's something that almost everyone has watched except Daryl.
Okay, so I think I missed that part. The line is not actually Luke, I am your father?
It is not Luke, I am your father. It never was. It is, no, I am your father. Everything else is...
Immediately before, Darth Vader says that, Luke says, you killed my father!
Yeah.
Well,
and his response is, no, I am your father.
I think it's probably something that entered into the zeitgeist with one person misquoting. And what's nice about that is, since we are talking about people wanting to retain meaning and rhythm in remembering things, when you say, Luke, I am your father, as opposed to no, I am your father,
you are placing, you're placing it.
Yeah, you're placing it. You're giving it context in the place of the movie and which characters are involved, right?
So once again, when you're at the water cooler next morning and no, I'm your father, no one knows what you're talking about. But if you add Luke in there, now it puts it in context.
It's just like some of the stupid internet slang where it got started by one guy that misspelled something on like a 4chan something Warcraft world, and everybody's like, "Oh, that's the greatest thing ever."
Are we on
that's
all
how
your
we
bases?
wound up with Pwned of PWND, and it's like you look like an idiot when you do that.
What is it, Chris? Your bases belong to us.
All your bases belong to us, or something like that. Yeah.
I'd just like to mention. I know a lot of the listeners to this show are anarchists. I just wanted to mention that linguists are the anarchists of the academic world. Linguists are anti-pedants, so that might get on your nerves a little bit, Daryl. But linguists are descriptivists. We describe the world as it is, not as it should be.
And I have been accused of being a grammar Nazi, which is sort of the antithesis of people that don't like rules. Dean, thank you for the call. And, well, that's the show for tonight. You can find us online at freetalklive.com. But, of course, we'll be back tomorrow night, 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern.
You can't win if you don't enter, and you actually can improve your chances of winning a prize drawing if you wrinkle up your entry blank. I'm Holland Cook from survivalspeech.com, and I speak from experience. Why this works: if they'll be spinning the drum before drawing, your entry blank will move around more than, and not adhere to, other